Praise the Lord, folks. Let's read this in another translation. 2 Timothy 2:19. Just for the record, let's read this in another translation. We have two problems with the Bible today and Christianity, the Bible and Christianity. What I say, 2 Timothy 2:19. Okay, 2:19. In the New American Standard says this: Nevertheless, the firm foundation of God stands, having this seal. The Lord knows those who are his, and everyone who names the name of the Lord is to keep away from wickedness. Okay? Some people don't know what wickedness is. Okay? Some people don't even know what wickedness is. Too many people today, again, as I said in the last video, have their claws in our Bible. The Bible does not belong to people who want to start a religion. Christianity was never started as a religion. Christianity was always God's people from generation to generation, hearing the voice of God, creating the law because of the voice of God, and then handing that down to their grandchildren from generation to generation. We've never formed a religion. We never had one prophet go out and come back to his people and create a religion. Okay? None of these prophets, even if they really be honest and tell the truth, their followers, never done anything significant to make their people believe in their newfound religion. They never really impressed their people to believe in their newfound religion. Okay? Christianity was never built based on anything. We just simply accept the history, basically the history, and accept it as our own, and that is the way it is done. Excuse me for 1 second. Springtime is coming, and when springtime comes, I naturally start to, and I was outside today, I went to the store today. Springtime, I always get these allergies, around the month of April. I start to get, my eyes start to bother me. They've been bothering me for weeks now. Every time I take a nap, a lot of that is because I got that indoor air conditioner right on me, but I need to stop doing that. I can do just as fine with it across the room. I love to have it right on me. I got to stop doing that, but I get the sniffles. I get the watery eyes. My eyes are watery right now. My nose has been running. Just got done doing a guitar ukulele video. As you can see, I got the instruments on my bed sofa, because I was doing editing a video on guitar and ukulele and that. But anyway, one thing about the Bible is that we accept it as authoritative. Now, today I watched a bunch of videos, mainly on Mormonism. Also, while I was recording the last video, I had the Hebrew Israelite videos on pause, so I had this much videos in my playlist, and I went and I watched the rest of the Hebrew Israelite videos, and then I watched the Mormon videos. People debating, namely Christians, with Mormons and Hebrew Israelites. And I think a lot of Christians don't see Christianity as the way, the truth, and the life. Sure, they know that Jesus said that and they preach that, but they don't identify themselves that way. They don't see. I'm very arrogant about my faith. There's nothing you can say to me. You can't talk to me about Islam. You can't talk to me about Mormonism. You can't talk to me about Jehovah's Witnesses. I have to catch myself before I tell people to go fly a kite or stick their head in the toilet. What are you talking about, man? You're going to convert me to what? I'm a born-again Christian. I am higher than an atheist. I am less religious than an atheist. Okay? And I am a better religious spectacle than any religion out there, if I'm following the Word of God. I cannot help but almost become so arrogant when people come to me, or when I listen to people, talk about religion and talk about, and today I was watching James White, and I'm no fan of James White, but I respect James White. I don't like James White's attitude towards the King James Bible. You want to go up against the King James onlyists and say that you can't be King James onlyists on a religious level because that's fine. But don't ever talk about the King James like it's inferior. Don't ever talk about the Textus Receptus like it's an inferior text, because your text wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the Textus Receptus. The Textus Receptus had to be here first. It's like your granddaddy had to be here first before the rest of these grandkids ever made it here. Granddad begot your dad. Okay? And your dad begot you. We're not going to disrespect granddad. Sure, you got different texts today. You're doing more research and all like that. But how many years was nothing but the King James? And now it's a heretic Bible. And now it's a, that's another video, but I'm so sick of it. That's so much BS in that statement, for you to even, there's nothing for you to do with the King James, but either you read it or you don't. You don't have to read it in this day and time. But if you're not going to read it, don't criticize it. Don't, I don't read the King James. I read the New King James that I just read from. Behind this computer right here, I got my new Bible stacks. I got a dozen New King James in this home. But I have an Amplified, I got a New American Standard, I got a CSB. I read all these Bibles. But my main one is the New King James, and my favorite is the MEV. I'm a Textus Receptus person, but if you can show me where the, like Dan Wallace, he got all emotional and upset about the New King James. Dude, your people, the critical text people, said that there's not that big of a difference between the Textus Receptus and the critical text. The differences are very, very minor. Why is Dan Wallace flipping out and acting a fool? Because he felt that they should have never, you know what I mean? And imagine when people, atheists, and religious people, Islamics. Imagine when they see Christians criticize their own weapons like this. They weaponize against their own translations and manuscripts, and it oh my God, it kills me. Why can't we all be the people of God and respect each other's stash? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I can easily have a typical, all day today, I watched Christians of different denominations go at it. Even Catholics going at it with Mormons and going at it with Hebrew Israelites. Proving the difference between made up religion and the Bible. And most of these people don't read from the King James, but some do. And what? They're all saying the same message to these paganers out there. They're saying the same message. But then you got people like James White, you got people like Mark Ward, who feel it necessary to try, and I understand. The King James only people, the cult. There's King James only people, and then there's the cult of King James onlyism. Let me say that again. There's King James only people, and there's the cult of King James onlyism. I grew up in a King James only church. I was born and raised in a King James only church, but nobody in there was in the occult of King James onlyism. We had the other translations too, and you could come from a clear across the world and read from the American Standard or read from the RSV. And unless your doctrine, you were willing to fight over your doctrine because of a single word that was different in your modern text or whatever, there was no battle unless it came to that. Okay, we only went up against whose translation was better when we went into some serious biblical warfare where we were arguing amongst ourselves. But again, even back then, there were King James people that would go to the Strongs, or they would go to the Hebrew and Greek, just like today, that a lot of modern people are doing, modern text people. They would go to the Hebrew and Greek and show people that were reading back then what was called the critical text. They would, what is the critical text today? They would tell them, like, well, look, okay, let's look it up in the Greek. You're making a big deal about that word. And you would find out that even though that word in the King James was very archaic, the King James lover understood what that word means. And so, let's continue on with this Bible study. Like, I'm right, you're wrong. Let's continue. Let's move to another part of it, okay? Because I'm right, you're wrong. I showed you in Hebrew and Greek where I'm right and you're wrong. And then the New King James came out, and we find that a lot of people don't know how to read your King James. They don't. And a lot of things that we were saying, for example, money being the root of all evil, that's not what it says in the Greek, first of all. And that is not completely accurate, second of all. Because money is not the only root of all evil. Sex is another. Men don't go out there and rape women because they need money. Men don't go out there and molest children because they need money. Or they love money. They do it because they're sexually bound. They do it because they have a sexual illness. They need deliverance. And they need to be healed. And they need to be put in jail for a long time. Okay? But it doesn't start off with money. Anger is another root of all types of evil. If someone pushes you to a boiling point, okay, for example, black people don't worry about money for themselves. They worry about hating on those that do, those that have money. Because everything to people that have slave syndrome or race syndrome or whatever you call it, they have a tendency to think that everybody rich, even if they're in black skin, is a racist towards the indigenous black people of America, because the indigenous black people of America, meaning they don't have, they never make it to middle class. Okay. And even those that are middle class, if they're living in black communities, they're not considered middle class to a lot of black Americans. They're considered people that have something extra. They have something in their home that somebody might break into their home and do a home invasion over, but they're not considered rich because they still live in a black community. But, you get LeBron James or some of these basketball, football players who move into the predominantly white neighborhoods and live up, out in this province, live up on the hill, okay? Now they're racist. Okay? So to keep from being considered racist, somebody like LeBron James will try to spend as much time with the low class black community, helping them be more democratic and helping them be more liberal and angry. And angry. Anger is another root of all kinds of evil. Anger created Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter was not found on anything peaceful. Anger created Black Lives Matter. Anger created the Ku Klux Klan. Anger is what creates hate groups and racial hate groups. Anger causes people to be race baiters. Anger is what people are doing to Elon Musk right now. Anger over things that they can't prove. Anger over things that are not true. And I'm not saying that just because I'm a Republican. Just not true. You got no receipts. But you're getting angry. So there are different things. There's sex, there's anger, there's brokenness, and there's two types of brokenness. I've said this before. There's different things that make you angry. There's different things that'll make you do wickedness and do evil. It's not just money. So when you say money is the root of all evil, that's not true. New King James, better yet, MEV got it perfect. Money is a root to many evils, says the MEV. Money is a root to many evils. Okay? So, the King James only people without using their brain will get up there and say, "You believe what the New King James did? It said money is the root of all kinds of evil." Yeah. And people use that verse today in the King James, and even modern people, without reading it in their modern translation. Just read it in your modern translation. It says, you'll see it says it different than it does in the King James. They'll take that verse, even some modern text people, they'll take that verse and say the Christians can't make money. It's wrong for Christians to have an airport. Why does Cliff O'Dollar need a $35 million airport? What law says he can't have a $35 million airport? Is it in the Bible? What law in the Bible says he can't have a $35 million airport? If he wants to have a $35 million airport because he's able to get Christians to donate the money, what's wrong with that? What is wrong with that? I don't care what Cliff O'Dollar preaches. He may be preaching some goofy stuff. I don't know. But how do you find that in the Bible? Show me that in the Bible where it's wrong for people to buy out Donald Trump, to buy out Elon Musk. Show me in the Bible where it's wrong for the next Christian, for the next apprentice to be a Christian. Or the next millionaire or billionaire to make the news to be a Christian. Dave Ramsey is a Christian. He's popular all around the world. Robert Kiyosaki, I think he's claiming to be a Christian. He's popular all around the world. Myron Golden, popular all around the world. And then you got wicked ones like Bill Gates and Elon Musk and Donald Trump and that, who are put on, I can understand Bill Gates being on the blacklist, but Donald Trump and Elon Musk, give me a break. Okay? But too many people are judged by things coming out of the Bible when the Bible does not judge them. It's not in there. Same thing with this, and I'm going to do another video on it, but the whole Marvin Sapp thing, I did a video on that. I'm going to do another one. And it's going to be a short because I just want to tell the people, and I just want to tell Marvin Sapp, stop apologizing, man. You look like you did something wrong when you apologize. What he should have did when he got on the Ricky Smiley show is he should have got up on his high horse and said, if I want to close the doors and raise $40,000, and he should have been honest what the money was for, instead of trying to keep that confidential, because that's what's killing it. But I know he was fundraising for something huge, and no one wants to talk about that. But the thing is, he should have got on his high horse like this. Just like this says, if I want to raise $40,000 in a room of 10,000 people, knowing that 5,000 of them walk around with $200 on them every day in their pocket. That's my prerogative. If you don't like it, talk to Jesus about that. That's what I'd have said. If you don't like it, pray for me and see if God strike me. Because there ain't nothing wrong with that. It's what church people do. Some of us go to these little quiet, strict denominations, okay, where you're not allowed to use the bathroom until church is over. Okay, you're not allowed to leave early. You're not allowed to be late. You're not allowed to do anything. You can't come in there without wearing a suit. You got to wear a suit or people will disown you. They go to these strict, crazy, Calvinistic, Reformed, Theological, nutcase denominations. And they want to sit there and go, did you see Marvin Sapp? He raised $40,000. What are they doing with $40,000? Ask them. Ask them. Ask them. Ask them. Instead of you doing YouTube footage and trying to hate on your Christian brothers over something you don't even understand, why didn't you ask them what the $40,000 was for? Why didn't you, instead of everybody getting on his show, pointing the finger at him as if he did something wrong in the name of the Lord, and there's people that ain't even saved, they got secular shows with dancing half-naked girls, okay, and they want to get up there and accuse Marvin Sapp like they anything spiritual. Okay, bite me like. And I'm not defending Marvin Sapp. I'm defending Marvin Sapp's right to be a Christian. I'm defending his right to practice church. Speaking of which, I promised I would say this. There's a bunch of videos going around of different different people listening. There's one by Vodi Bakum, but it's by the same person. There's one with Billy Graham, Vodi Bachman. There's a whole bunch of ministers out there, and they're calling the video "Tithing is a Sin," or "Tithing is evil," or something like that. "Tithing is a sin" is what it's called. And these videos are going viral. Okay? There's tons of them. Tithing is not a sin. Tithing is a liberty. It's not a sin. It's a liberty. There's nothing about tithing except that tithing is 10%. So if tithing is wrong, that means that it's wrong because you're not giving enough money to the poor, or you're not putting enough money in the church. You're not putting enough money into missions or whatever, because it's only 10%. You can tithe or choose not to tithe as long as you give. Tithing is giving. Tithing, because they don't talk about it enough in the New Testament anymore, doesn't make it a sin, because if tithing is a sin, so is giving. Because when you tithe, you're only giving 10%. When you give, you can give anything from 10% to 110% and up. Marvin Sapp was obviously not tithing when he asked for $40,000. And the 800 and the 50 or whatever that came before that, the other ministers were asking, because obviously a child can understand that they're trying to raise funds for something. The question is not the fact that they closed the doors. The question is not that he asked for the $4,000, because he can ask for $1 million if he wants. It's called giving. It's called having church. The question is, what is the $40,000 for? And then for some reason, if Marvin Sapp is not allowed to, for the sake of the people that were there, admit what the $40,000 is for, he should have never got on the Ricky Smiley show. He should have never got on there. He should have never got on there. But if he wants to raise $40,000, whether it be for something that needs to be fixed in the church, whether it be for something to do with the kids, if it's to buy another church, or if it's to build or repair the parking lot, or it's to send the missions, or it's to set the captives free, or whatever it is. I don't care if it's to buy a church van or a bus or whatever. You want to raise $40,000, you raise it. Whatever. But what really made Marvin Sapp look dumb is when he got on Ricky Smiley and didn't tell everybody to kiss his behind and go fly a kite. That's what he should have done. I would have got on the Ricky Smiley show and I'd have looked into the camera and I would have said, I would like to say to everybody, and I'm trying to be as spiritual as I can without disrespecting who I am in Jesus Christ. I would like all you YouTubers that are all up in the business of an event that you didn't show up to, and you didn't donate any money to this cause. You know what I mean? You just getting on YouTube using me to make content because you're all a bunch of haters and a bunch of false prophets, in my opinion. Okay, I'm gonna tell you this without trying not to be. I'm gonna try to be as less unspiritual as I can. But all y'all, please kiss my A. And that's the only time I'm going to say that in the history of YouTube, in the history of my ministry. Make sure this goes viral all over the world, that Marvin Sapp told you to kiss his A. Because you think at a convention center at 10,000 people that I couldn't raise $40,000, and I got no right to do that. Show me that in the goddamn Bible. And you think I can't shut the doors. Can you shut the doors? Do the doors have hinges on them? Can you shut the doors? Oh, we can shut the doors. Is it legal by law to shut those doors? And are we allowed as a church to shut those doors? Okay. Shut the doors. I said shut the doors. I said shut the doors. Thank you. Now, he shouldn't have said, well, he didn't say ain't nobody going nowhere. He said, y'all ain't going nowhere but the McDonald's. In other words, he said shut the doors because we're not done yet. That's why he said shut the doors. Because what did he say after he said shut the doors? He says, y'all ain't going nowhere but the McDonald's. Or going out to eat, or however he put it. And how many times have I been in my own church and other people's church where they took up an offering and they's like, hold up, folks, hold up. Go on and play the marching music because we going to come around. Y'all ain't going nowhere but the McDonald's. People, please, they didn't shut the doors, but they said, people, don't leave yet. We're not done yet. Where y'all going? Can y'all sit back down, please? Until we get finished with the service. The service is not over. We haven't taken an offering yet. Okay? And that's what they did. And nobody went home and got on YouTube and said, oh, Pastor Spencer, Pastor Eugene Dawson, Pastor, they made us stay there until we know. It's called having church. This is what they do in churches. Especially black churches. Especially churches that are Pentecostal. And that's why Corey Minor went after Marvin Sapp, because the convention center was Pentecostal. The event at the convention center was a Pentecostal event. He hates Pentecostals. He said out of his own mouth, well, I wouldn't say I hate Pentecostals, but I really, really think that it's unscriptural and all like that. Well, Reformed theology ain't in the Bible, but the word Pentecost is. And Pentecostals will tell you, how do you assume you Pentecostal? Well, Acts chapter 2. On the day of Pentecost. And all those gifts that y'all don't practice, we practice. That's why we consider ourselves Pentecostal. Anything else? Am I making sense? Okay? But I just really don't get Christianity today, where people think that you can tell other people how to have faith, how to practice faith. But tithing is not a sin. You are free in the New Testament, and as a person that is a non-Jew, you are free to either tithe or not to tithe. Tithing is almost the smallest amount of money that you can give. A lot of people are saying tithing is a sin. Do you know what a tithe is? Oh, tithing is a sin. Really? Really? Tithing. A tithe. 1/10 of annual produce or earnings. Formerly taken as a tax for the support of the churches and clergy. Pay or give as a tithe. He tithes 10% of his income to the church. Okay? Tithing is the cheapest way for a church to stay on its toes. If you only got like 5 people in your church and all the 5 people give only 10%, your church, unless it's already paid for, is probably, you're going to lose the church. And you're not going to have any money in your account when the ceiling starts leaking, or there's a hole in the roof, or there's plumbing problems or electrical problems. You cannot pay for any contractors to come in because there's only 5 or 10 people in your church, and they're giving only 10%. The less people you have in your church, the more each one should give in order to grow the church, in order to build the church. The more people you have in your church, if everybody give at least 10%, that church, compared to how big it is rich. But it is rich. It's their riches for their church, their people, and whatever type of ministry that they're doing. It's rich for them. The building, the van, the schools, the kids, all the different programs, missions. Okay, these people who are paying or buying airports are still paying for schools to be in their churches. Bible stores to be in their churches. Parking. Okay, contractors. They're paying every member of the team is getting paid. In mega churches, every member of the team gets paid. Everybody makes something. Everybody's getting paid from the offering, not just the pastor. If you get up on that stage, you're getting paid. If you're in the worship team, if you are the associate pastor, the youth pastor, the secretary, the missionaries, everybody's getting paid. Little or small, money is being sent to you to either help you with your travels or your ministry, or it's just simply to pay you as an employee, and you can do whatever you want to do with that money. You can buy your wife, okay, a $1,500 necklace with that money if you want to. You can take your wife out on a town, okay. You can go, you can take your wife to Hawaii if you want to. It is your business what you do with that money. So I'm going to stop there. That's what I'm going to. Marvin Sapp couldn't say it. I'm saying it for him. You can kiss Marvin Sapp's black behind. If you think that God is looking at him collecting $40,000, I'd still like to know what it was for. But they all knew. You don't know because you're on the outside looking in. You're on YouTube. They're actually there at the church. They're actually there at the convention center. They know. You don't. I'm interested to know what the money was for. But unless it was $40,000 because Marvin Sapp wanted to go to Hawaii, or I mean, what? It's one thing to give your last dollar, and it's one thing to sacrifice. It's one thing to give away your home, give away, take your kids out of school and I mean, when you give, you don't take away. The Lord gives and the Lord takes away. But when you give, you don't take away from yourself. So to me, it really doesn't matter what the money was for, because you're not taking away from yourself. Neither is Marvin Sapp. And Marvin Sapp showed himself putting his $100 in that offering plate before anybody else did. The money didn't go to him. It went to whatever they were raising the fund for. So I'm going to say it again. You can kiss Marvin Sapp's black behind. All you YouTubers that think this is Christian content. It's not Christian content. It's Christian hate. It's turning Christianity into secularism. It's turning Christianity into a political thing instead of the Christian thing it's supposed to be. We got more important issues to worry about. I'd like to see any of the people that were there get on YouTube and complain about the fact that, where they were a victim of Marvin Sapp. Marvin Sapp forced them to pay $100 a piece or $20 or $40 a piece. I'd like to see somebody who was actually there get on YouTube and complain. It's not going to happen. Okay? This was, and this is the other thing. Again, like I said in the last video, I talked about this. Everybody knows that goes to a Pentecostal church or a Baptist church or old-fashioned Baptist church that does it, or a charismatic church or a full gospel church or whatever. Everybody knows that just because the pastor gets up there and says, I'm expecting y'all to give $100 or I'm expecting y'all to give $50. Okay, I remember, like I said in the last video, me and my kids and my wife were on our way to McDonald's and we was starving. We was hungry. We didn't eat nothing before we left the house. Church took too long. And when the pastor got up there and said, I think there's enough people in this room and I think enough of y'all wealthy enough to give $20. So before we shut the service, we're going to take another offering. And, I'd already gave like $5. Now he wants $20. And I said to my wife, and we all laughed about it, when he said, I know y'all ain't going nowhere but to McDonald's. So y'all getting ready to go to McDonald's, you're going to pay $40 on your family to go to McDonald's. But we need everybody, as the Lord has blessed you, to give $20. We need a $20 seed. And I did not consider these people false prophets or money hungry, grabbers. I understood. I knew what the money was for. I knew what the money was for, because when he was preaching, he was talking about, the Lord blessing them to get this thing. And he says, I'm calling on all those that want to patron, to help me out, because we need to get this done as soon as possible. And I'm trusting and believing God that this is going to be done today, this morning. So when he said that, I understood what the fund was for. Okay. But when he got up there and said, y'all ain't going nowhere but to McDonald's, and I got a family of 4. Well, 6. Me and my wife make 6. I whispered to him, I forget whether it was my stepson or my wife. I says, yeah, I'm still going to McDonald's because I'm starving. Okay, and that sermon was long. Okay, I'm still going to go to McDonald's, and I'm only putting in 10 because he's right. I'll probably spend 40 or 50 at the most with dessert. I'll probably spend 50 when we go to McDonald's. I'm still going to McDonald's. So therefore, I'm going to cut that 20 in half. I'm going to give 10. 10's the best I can do, brother. And everybody that goes to churches that naturally do this on a regular basis, they mention numbers. And I admit they shouldn't. They should just let you know what they want to do cost, and let you decide how much you want to put. Just say, saints, let's be generous with our giving this morning, because we have a $40,000 ticket that we have to pay here. And so those that God has blessed, I pray that you give sparingly, without grudge, without necessity, but give wholeheartedly, please, and we did. And me and my family, we would look at each other and we'll say, okay, we'll turn that 10 into a 20. We're just going to put in 10. We're going to turn that into a 20. Since he asked so nicely. And sometimes you shouldn't mention numbers. You just let them know the debt or what you're trying to raise funds for. And then the people can take it upon themselves. Because even if you say, I want 100 people to give $50. Some of the people up there, and you don't know what their budget is. Everybody ain't good stewards of their finances like that. Everybody don't walk around with $100 in their pocket in cash. And a lot of people, if they don't have $100 in their cash, they sure ain't gonna write out no check, because they don't believe in that. I don't like writing out checks. So you take too long to cash them, I'll be bankrupt by the time you cash that check, because you left it in there too long. I just like to give you what's in my pocket. Or I like to put my money in an envelope before I get to church, and then that's what I used to do. I used to put my money in an envelope before church started, and when the offering plate came around, my money was already signed and everything in the envelope, cash in there, and I just put it in the offering plate. I didn't wait till, church ended to go look in my wallet and figure out what I got. But anyway, in closing, Marvin Sapp shouldn't have got on there and first of all, he shouldn't have sent an apology and tried to explain himself, because there's no explaining it. The explaining is that, let me see, how can I explain to you? Kiss my A. That's how you explain something like that. Nobody has a right to sit there and be concerned about him and those that were there raising $40,000. Everybody there knows that if they ain't got $40,000, he ain't getting it. You might get $20,000. You may get, $10,000. We give as we feel the Lord tells us to give. You letting us know that you need $40,000 for whatever reason you need it don't mean that we automatically got it. All Pentecostals know that. How come the rest of y'all don't know that? We ain't got to give $20 if we ain't got it. We ain't got to give $100 if we ain't got it. And if I want to walk out them doors, all I got to do is say bye. Oh, shut the doors. Okay. Hold on. Before you shut that door, I'm leaving. Hold on. Before you shut them doors, I got to use the restroom. I'll be back. Now, he might say once you go out, you can't come back in. That's the problem with shutting the doors. Once you go out, you might not be able to come back in, since church is nearly over. I've been there where I got separated from my family because I walked out of the auditorium, and they said, well, when you come back in, you got to wait. So I had to wait till church was over, to get back in there. My family was in there, but they didn't want traffic going in and out while they were closing. Okay? And some of you Christians on YouTube, you're so busy on YouTube making your money, monetizing, that you never get out and go nowhere. And so you judge people. Okay? And it's very typical, very natural for a pastor to see a need in the church and try to compel the people to give as much as they can. It's very natural for whatever reason to shut the doors to control your thinking, so you understand that, like he said, money is worship. Like he said, money is worship. I understand. I'm a Pentecostal. I understand what he's saying. A lot of people didn't understand it. And I'm no Marvin Sapp fan. There's only one thing I like about Marvin Sapp, and it's that one song. But y'all tripping. And that's all you're doing is tripping. You're not really looking into the Bible. You're not really praying about this and finding from the Lord that you need it to critique and scrutinize Marvin Sapp over him raising, this fund for whatever they're raising it for. And he made the mistake of apologizing by acting a fool about it. He don't have, and that's the problem with the internet. Who in their right mind thinks that they have to apologize to people on the internet? People on the internet, that's like me going down to the city, okay, and parking my car in the wrong place. Other people couldn't park or whatever. And there ain't nobody down there but thugs and homeless people and all like that. And then I come back and I apologize. I send you know what I'm saying? Whether I was illegally parking or not, you gave me a ticket, or you were about to give me a ticket before I moved my car. Because I said no to all the homeless people that were trying to bum me for money. I'm trying to take my wife out to dinner. I don't know what I need this money for the tip. Like, I'm not gonna, maybe when I get out of the restaurant, So what am I gonna do? Go down there and apologize to all the homeless people because they think this is their territory, and I did not give money to all the homeless people? It's the same difference. You don't apologize for money that you don't give, and you don't apologize for money that you give, or that you accept, or that you collect. You don't apologize. It's already done. Nobody's giving that money back. Marvin Sapp getting on there acting like, it's not my money. We already know that, Sapp. You didn't have to explain that. All you had to do was look into the camera and tell everybody to kiss your black behind. Because there is nothing in the Bible, and there is nothing even outside the Bible, that, except for people being ignorant and stupid on YouTube, that says you can't raise $40,000 and ask for privacy, shut the doors, ask for privacy while you're doing it. There's no law against that. Let me out of here. I guess I'll title this one Christians and Money. God bless.